All right. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. Thank you for joining us again this week. We have a special edition for you. My name is Donna Morgan. I'm the president of Caribbean American Diaspora, president of Women of Culture Incorporated, real estate broker, and mindset coach. I just want to say thank you all for joining us tonight, this beautiful, chilly Thursday night in Central Florida, right? I want to introduce the co-host for tonight, Mr. Lewis Witter. Hey, Lewis.
Hey, greetings and welcome everybody to the special edition of Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network and Jamaica Caribbean Diaspora Vibes with Miss Donna Morton. And Donna, I have with me also this evening, Brother John Perry, one of my hosts here at the network. We want to welcome you to Caribbean Rhythms.
Awesome. And we know that Mr. John Perry is en route. Yes. So we'll hear from him a little later on. So, ladies and gentlemen, why are we back a second time this week? Well, like I said, we have a special edition. We're going to be hearing we have a total of 6 individuals that we hope to hear from this evening. And as you saw our flyer, it said Jamaica Diaspora demands call to action, right?
Yes.
And who is the Jamaica Diaspora, that group that we're talking about? We are talking about the Jamaica Diaspora Crime Intervention and Prevention Task Force that have basically, in my opinion, is brave enough to put this conversation in the open, because I believe we all have this conversation as Jamaicans somewhere around the coffee table, the tea table,
privately,
right? To just say, what can we do? Some feel it's hopeless. Some feel that there's still some hope. And so our job here tonight is just to bring you the education, not really to side with any one party, but to bring you the education that we think is so needed and so deserved. And I have to, for me, just give props that someone is, or a group is really able to bring this up, because this is not an easy subject. It's not an easy, anytime you come against religion or politics or anything on that level, you're going to be scrutinized, you're going to be demonized, you're going to get backlash, right? We know that. So I say it's very brave and it's very noble also to have this group to come together. So I know earlier we had a feedback and it was like, well, we want to hear stats, we want to hear facts, we don't want to just hear people's opinions. So I hope tonight that we will hear facts and stats to show why this call to action letter happened and why the demonstration is going to happen tomorrow at the Jamaican Consulate in Miami. So with that, we're going to start with, let's see who is, I know we were going to start with Dr. Rupert, but Dr. Rupert at his location just had an emergency in the building. So we can either start with Lion or Will. Mr. Rattigan.
I can yield to Will. Yes, I can yield to Will. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Rattigan, are you able to jump on?
Yes, I am. Good night to you, your listening, viewing audience, the panelists, and your staff, you and your staff.
Amen. Welcome.
Welcome, sir. So who wants to give a brief overview? We're going to hear from everybody's point, because I know you all have different points to bring tonight. So since we are waiting, or as we wait, I'm not sure. Dr. Rupert, are you able? Or
yes, I'm fine. There was just
some smoke alarm thing that is here that's really interesting.
Mhm.
And I'm outside in the dark, and I'm already dark, so you know what I mean. I
Yeah,
don't.
you all said, Donna, before we introduce, get Mr. Rupert, Mr. Frank, Dr. Rupert to start, I want to say from our point of view, from the Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network, this is a subject that we talk about every single day here on our network. And it is not something new. It should not be something new. It should not be something alarming to any particular person. As long as you're Jamaican, we know from the inception of Jamaica, if we go back to all the way back in the 70s, back when the earthquake back there in Henry Morgan days, Jamaica has been a crime place for a long, 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 long time. This is not a new subject, but it's a new blood that I think is interjecting into what's going on in Jamaica. And quite frankly, we're not here to take sides, but we're here to be a part of that conversation. We want to, we're glad that the diaspora is stepping into this arena. And I want to commend Dr. Rupert and all the people that are involved with it and going to be a part of what's going on tomorrow in Miami. I'm glad that something is being done on this side of the ocean. So many people, so many minister of security, so many prime minister have come and go, and the situation still remain the same. It is about time somebody start, and so I commend you guys, and I welcome you guys in this discussion this evening. So, brother, Dr. Rupert, you want to get started?
Yes, in fact, yes. What I've done is, luckily, I have two phones. So one is now providing electricity, and the other one is on the Zoom. So I'm very happy that at least you can see a little bit of my face under the circumstances.
Yes.
And I'm out here enjoying the weather in Florida. It's quite, in spite of everything, everything happens for a purpose. So therefore, but what we're talking about is so surreal and it is so real at the same time, because, this business of crime has gone out of control. The type of crime that we are seeing right now is totally different from the type of crime we saw in the early 70s, 80s, what have you. It is different. Mm-hmm. It is more of, I would call it mayhem. When you think about it, you think about what is happening and the way these people are behaving. These people who kill for murder for hire, innocent lives, children, that sort of thing. It's just unprecedented, and you just have to, it appears as if you can just look at someone and they think that you're meaning something and they just simply do something to you. And it's not normally it's not like a slap, or which should not be in the first place, but it's something grave. So as far as I'm concerned, we have to take a stand. The diaspora. What is interesting? I used to be a likable fellow until the other day when I wrote that letter, and I have never been so understood that But thankfully, it's not the majority of people. But there are people out there who definitely hate you because perhaps you had taken a stand before, and they feel that you have let the side down. Why? If you are a responsible individual and you are a responsible person, you should in fact be able to ethically and justly and speak about your country and be able to give your opinion. But unfortunately, some people are trying to turn it into something. They have to have an agenda. They have to give some type of propaganda as to why this is happening. This is happening because our leadership in the criminal justice area and so on has failed. And it takes no child to recognize that. Anyone could see that. It has failed. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, we have to understand that we must lead by example. Okay, and we must understand that there are young people that are suffering. Look at the 8-year-olds, the children who have been killed and what have you for nothing. You're fighting somebody and you're shooting as it's randomly. Come on, that is really unheard of. And you know, that is why we as Jamaicans at home and abroad must understand we are not enemies. Let them not turn us into enemies. We are owners, we are patriots, we are people who absolutely love Jamaica. And anyone that is appearing on this platform this evening, anyone, yes, anyone can, you is appearing. They must understand that they are indeed patriots. And I'm going to leave it at that because there are many other people who have a lot to say. But to me, the crime is out of control. And the persons who have been left to do it are not doing what they should do. And they're not willing to accept any criticism. They're not willing to listen to anyone. And they just believe they know it all. And that's all I have to say for now. Thank you very much for the opportunity. You guys are really, really a treasure.
Thank you. You know, I wanted to go over the concerns. So the call to action, major concerns for people that did not see. It was the increasing state of public corruption, the high level of violent crime, the failure to provide promised service delivery, unfulfilled promises to the diaspora regarding its involvement in the political process. Okay, so, and the legal defense that diaspora members do not have stand-in to sue the government. So those are the major concerns. And so again, first two, the increasing state of public corruption, the high level of violent crime, and failure to provide promised service delivery. And so I think anybody, if you're not under a rock right now, would agree that the violent crime and the level of crime in Jamaica it doesn't seem to be getting any better, right? And so I think having a team, having a group together that's willing to even put it out on blast, to say, well, how can we turn this around? What needs to happen? Where, obviously we as diaspora need to be involved. We do contribute a lot, if I should say, we contribute a lot to Jamaica, the diaspora around the world, because we love Jamaica. But anytime that, you call out leaders, I think it's understandable that there's going to be backlash. So who has any information on what the crime stats are, or like I said, how do we know that there is public corruption? Who wants to talk about that? Or why do you say there is public corruption, since we are educating the public that has no knowledge of this?
If I can jump in here and facilitate Goodly Virgin while he's driving.
Brother Lion, introduce yourself to the audience, please, as well.
I am so sorry. My name, as given on the birth certificate, is Howard Goldburn, aka Lion. Friends and family alike prefer that name. So I endear you to give me such a title, all right? Yes, as I was saying, we are cognizant of one thing. And there is a little idiom that goes with it, if I should say an idiom. There are three things: lie, damn lie, and statistics. You can torture and twist statistics if you're skilled, like probably a good friend, Honorable Nigel Clark, and get it to say anything. Without the average person who is paying attention in the public having the capacity or the ability to understand what you're saying or what you just did with the figures. The point I'm making is this. United States Embassy, jointly with the UK Embassy, placed in the publications of the Jamaican media that in the fight against corruption, they, and I'm paraphrasing here, implore the population of Jamaica to take up matters in their own hands and address the matter of corruption. That beats statistics. The UK and the US Embassy is in unison that crime and corruption is rampant. We can get down into the details, how much per capita, etc., etc. But for the common person, ordinary person, to understand, we need to know that we are not seen in this rosy-colored glass picture that our leaders are painting about the island. And notice I said leaders. Because if there was a viable and a real opposition, what is being done now, the likes of what is being done by the OJLDF, headed by Rattigan, and other stalwarts like Herb Nelson Jr., would have been accomplished long ago with someone actually inside of Parliament, with even if you have 9 seats, 3 seats. Mr. Rattigan don't have any seats. Dr. Rupert doesn't have a seat. None of the panelists have a seat. Yet this voice is being paid attention to across the world. Jamaica has no opposition outside of us. They just pretend. A dramatic play in the playhouse called Garden House. It's no better than Little Theater. When people believe that they are in opposition, when they are the ones that fashioned the laws, created the loopholes, kept the loopholes to themselves as secrets amongst themselves, and aggrandize themselves in a way that their pockets are so heavy laden that many of them right now are sinking in the Caribbean Sea of distress. I see the call coming now because we can discuss statistics for a good while. But the meaningfulness of it is that the people have had that to their necks. What they need is for persons to be clear in what they're saying, not partisan, political, but clear in what they're speaking, so that the ordinary person can understand that the country is in a dilemma and we have to do something about it now.
Amen. Amen, my brother. Well said. Thank you. And since you are a part, I know based on your information here, you're also a chief advisor for the OJLDF. Why don't we introduce Donna, brother Wilfred Rattigan.
Northwest 5th Street.
Come on in, my brother, and tell the audience who you are. And I know you are a FBI specialist agent, used to be in the FBI as a supervisor, and you should have extend knowledge about security in Jamaica. Let's hear your thought on the matter, my brother.
Yes, good evening, everyone, or good night. Yeah, my name is Wilfred Rattigan. I was in the FBI for almost 30 years, at senior management in some posts, and I do have a little bit of experience concerning crime and corruption. Let me start out by saying that we started the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation for the purpose of holding government accountable. And I say, I should correct myself and say governments, because it's not just one government, not that meaning not one party. It's whoever is running the country, whoever is charged with the responsibility based on the ballot boxes, that we are going to hold them accountable. For far too long, we've been known as talk shops. We talk, we talk, we talk. Sometimes we come up with solutions, but they're never implemented and they never get any traction. So we started up this foundation called One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. And I'm imploring your listeners to make the contribution, because we seek to hold politicians and corrupt individuals accountable in 5 ways. 1, through lawsuits. 2, public relations campaigns. 3, background investigations of corrupt people. 4, protests. And 5, interaction with donor agencies and donor organizations, donor countries. Now, going back to the question that was asked, how do you know that there is corruption in Jamaica? Very simple. The Prime Minister, he spoke about it in 2016 and every year since then, saying that there's a high level of corruption. We've got to do something about it. The leader of the opposition, I should say leaders, because the present leader was not the leader when the Prime Minister took office in 2016. They have spoken about it. The politicians, by and large, writ large, they speak about it. And here's one for you. The young lady asked about stats. Jamaica is ranked on the corruption index. Jamaica is ranked somewhere between 39 and 41. Anything under 50 is considered grossly corrupt. Anything under 50 is grossly corrupt. And Jamaica has never cracked, or Jamaica is not there right now. I think it's at 41 right now. So that question has been answered time and time and time again from various sources, various avenues, and you can check them out. As far as crime is concerned, based on the statistics, per 100,000, Jamaica is ranked number 2 in the world for murder. Now think about it.
Wow.
We have less than 3 million people living on this rock, this piece of paradise, and it's been torn asunder by the inaction and the failed policies of governments. Again, plural governments. But we're focused on this government. And when you have a leader whose statutory declarations, his financial declarations, cannot be verified by the very institution that he established, need I say more? When you have a parliament that is composed of people who are allegedly rich without explanation, and they're under investigation, need I say more? And I can go on and on. When you have a Speaker of the House who had to resign because of her actions that were not in compliance with the rules and the laws of Jamaica, need I say more? When you have a junior minister of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade having to resign because he does not have an affiliation, or he didn't have an affiliation with the principles of government or of good governance, and so he had to resign. When you have a Prime Minister who said to the very institution, anti-corruption institution that he created, he said to them, listen, I want anti-corruption training for my people. And that institution provided the training to him, as well as to civil servants and the opposition. And then that same institution turned around and said, listen, you need to sign something called Code of Good Conduct. And what does that contain? Principles such as honesty, transparency, leadership, so on and so forth. And he refused to sign. But not only did he refuse to sign, his entire cabinet refused to sign, even though they asked for the training and they received the training. What does that say? And my brother and sister, I can just go on and on and on with a litany of reasons as to why we should take a strong stance tomorrow morning to speak out with one voice. It doesn't matter whether you are a PNP or a JLP. This transcends that. This is for the soul of Jamaica. This is fighting for the Jamaican people. There are some issues that they go beyond politics, and I can think of one right now, which is the beach access issue. Doesn't matter whether you're JLP or PNP, you don't have access to all the beaches in Jamaica. So this is, this stand tomorrow is precisely that. It's one where we're standing up for the people of Jamaica, because we don't have to do this. We must do this. This is not a matter of, an election, whether you feel like you should do it or not, or, an option. This is a command. And as Lion will tell you, we believe that there's a divine push behind this, because all of us didn't come together by accident. And when I say all of us, I'm talking about the people involved in the movement. And this is truly a movement. This is not like the bogus organization called the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council that is controlled, directed by the Jamaican government, led by the Jamaican government. This is truly a movement of well-thinking, concerning Jamaicans who would like to see the best for our piece of the rock and the best for our people, whether you live abroad or you live on the island. Thank you.
Wow. Well said, my brother. When I got this call to be a part of this meeting this evening, I also got a lot of warning to be careful what I said and how I move and what I said and the old works. And just listening to the three of you that have already spoken about what's going on in Jamaica and the reason why this is necessary this evening for us to talk, and the reason why people like us in the diaspora to come together to express our dissatisfaction. Crime will go on long time in Jamaica, and corruption has been going on long time. This is not something new. I think this is something that all of us in the diaspora, because all of us still have family members down there, anything go down in Jamaica affects us up here, because a lot of us are the one, we send a lot of money to Jamaica to help sustain the economy and the country and the people down in Jamaica. And we're not here to take sides. That's one of the things. We're not here to take sides. We're not here to deal with parties. Yes, there is a government, and under the government that is running, if these things are being spoiled like this, we have to talk. We have to come together. And I don't think this is a situation where we should hide ourselves and wonder who gonna see us or hear us talk. I think it's about time that we as Jamaicans that love the ackee and saltfish and the curry goat and the manish water and all of the good, the jelly and everything, the land, everything that Jamaica needs, we need to talk. We need to speak up and hold the people. And as you said, my brother, the government, and that's include the opposition party and the people that are running the country now. And so I really, want to encourage all my people here in the diaspora. Let's express ourselves. Let's do what we need to do to get Jamaica back on track. Too much crime, man. It's just bad. As the brother expressed in the beginning, people are killing people for nothing. Why is this so? Let's move on to another person in the panel. Is Mr. Carlos Gray here, Donna?
No, but Mr. Jeffrey.
Brother Jeffrey?
Make we talk, Jeffrey is here.
Brother Jeffrey, make we talk. Greetings. Welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rattigan and Sir Lion, good evening.
Evening, brother.
I'm trying to figure out where should I start. Wilfred Rattigan has said it all, along with Lion. You know, they have said it all. So I'm here trying to figure out where should I start with all of this. Today, we got a breaking news that a well-known attorney was gunned down in her car.
Wow.
What more do we want to hear? And yet you can hear that members of the diaspora, Jamaicans, both in Jamaica and in the diaspora, are trying to bring down the brand of Jamaica. And the question I have to ask this evening is, if there is a crime committed today where a lawyer was gunned down, assassinated in her car, and the news bring it, and we get the news out of Jamaica, and we decide to speak about it, is the news organization bringing down Jamaica too? You know, we need to ask those questions. And when you hear leaders of our country, and let me make something categorically clear this afternoon or this evening, I am not a person who disrespects political leaders. I do not. But we have to call a spade a spade. I may have a last name that associates with the Labour Party. I'm not a member of the Labour Party. Nor am I a member of the People's National Party. Jamaica come first. As I always said on my programs, we come here by labor pain, not by aeroplane or party pain. And the rock that we love so much is bleeding from within. And until we as Jamaicans stand up for what we believe in, stand up and fight for the country that we love, then I'm sorry, our country will never be the country we want it to be. The crime is getting out of hand. And Mr. Prime Minister, you promised the people of our country that you will allow them to sleep with the windows and door open. Have you done that, sir? Have you done that, sir? The JCF said it's 33 people murdered in the start of the year. I am being told it's not 33, it's 43. And yet, you're saying that crime is going down, Prime Minister? Yet you're saying that we in the diaspora is bringing down Jamaica? We're carrying on the brand of Jamaica? Mr. Prime Minister, I think you need to think differently, sir. We're not here to bring down any government or bring you down. We're here to tell you that the time has come, Prime Minister Holness and Minister Chang, that we cannot live like this anymore in our country. Where gunmen is shooting Jamaicans as if they're at bird hunting. We're being gunned down as blackbird in our own country. And yet you're being told that you're spending billions of dollars on the JCF and billions of dollars on the JTF. But what is going on? It is safe for tourists to go to our country. Is it safe for Jamaicans to live in their home, Prime Minister Holness or Minister Chang? And for those out there who are so die-hearted not to see, you're so die-hearted with the green, you cannot see beyond the green. But there's something fundamentally wrong with your visions. And I think you all should go and check your visions. Our nation is bleeding. And for those who are in the government buildings around our country, for those permanent secretaries, we're coming after you. Because majority of you are corrupt. Not only politicians are corrupt, the permanent secretaries in the various government buildings in our country, they are so corrupt, it's unbelievable. But yet, all we do is blame politicians. We can't blame them alone. And for my fellow Jamaicans out there, the time has come for us to stand up and fight for the country that we believe in. to stand up and organize and march. And what the late John Lewis said, get yourself in some good in some good trouble. We can't continue like this as a people. This is 2024. And Jamaicans were well renowned around the world as a land of wood and water. We're well renowned around the world as a country of Bob Marley with the reggae music. Our food is beyond imaginable. Our food is better than anybody else's food around the world. But our people have been gunned down day by day. Look how far they have bring the criminality at the doorstep of the Prime Minister of our country. In front of Jamaica House. What is next, Prime Minister Holness? The time that you and your administration take the coming off of people on social media, Prime Minister. You sit down, bring us together and say, okay, what can we do? You all out there chatting. It's time for action. What can all of you come together and present to us? But what you all do is have other social media bloggers describe us in the most derogatory ways. But we're still standing. We're still standing. And the time has come for us as Jamaicans to rally around a single cause and a single purpose, and the time is now. The time is now. We cannot continue like this as a people. We cannot. And for those in the diaspora who believe that a group of people is tarnishing the brand of Jamaica, I ask the question once more. When the Jamaica Observer, the Gleaner, the Star, RJR Nationwide, another news organization in our country present the news to the people of Jamaica and in the world. And when they said that a lawyer is being gunned down, are they bringing down the brand of Jamaica? Are they? We get the news and we pass it on. It's time. The time is now. Let us join hands and heart and save our beloved country that we love. Not because you may live overseas. Jamaica will always be our home. We're little but we're Talawa. But we have to stand up because she's bleeding from within. She's bleeding from within. And we need to stand up for the love of our country. I yield to the lovely lady over there. Miss Donna?
Thank you. Thank you so much for your wonderful summary. You thought you didn't have a lot to say, but you had a lot to say. Thank you so much for that. I think we all agree that, yes, Jamaica is definitely bleeding from within. And it would be wonderful to have a conversation to include diaspora leaders that are always giving back to Jamaica with education, through outreach, technology, health. There's so many of us that give back in different ways, to come to the table to have some kind of discussion of rising up, because right now we see it's just a fall, right? It's just a slope that keeps going. When we think it can't get any worse, it seems like it gets worse. I'm gonna see, is there anyone else that's on that schedule? Is Carlos Gray on?
Nelson, Brother Nelson is here. Did he come on?
No, Brother Nelson is not here.
If I might add, yeah, well, it's coming in. There are two major points that needs clarity. I'm really honest.
Bring something from me now, son.
Right? And as far, that's Dr. Rupert's mic. Okay.
Yes, I muted.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. As far as we are concerned, there are two things that are really popping up as to be as an antagonist to this protest. And one, bipartisan politics. Once you say something to oppose the sitting government, you're deemed as a supporter of the opposition. And once you support a cause that the opposition has, the government sees you as a terrorist.
Mm.
That's the country we live in. Why? Jamaica has managed to survive a cult that has been established from 1944 until now. And if you look at the persons that call themselves diehards or dieharted, they are no different than cult members in every sense of the word cult. Their leaders can do no wrong. They repeat party lines like parrots without having any understanding of what is being said. They will kill. They are willing to die for that same ignorance built around a charismatic leader who is able to coerce them by force of garrison tactics with guns and to seduce them, either with entertainment or little trivialities like t-shirts with a couple $1,000 inside of it. Those persons need psychiatric help on a national level. Even although they constitute less than 1/3, the politicians have mastered the skill to galvanize that small minority to subject the majority of the country under terrorist ruling. We have to call a spade a spade. I say that repeatedly. This is not something that you're exaggerating or you're being superfluous about. Check the news. Check the foreign agencies that oversee crime and corruption. One thing we have for them with this protest that is going to dispel that we are taking sides. It's called the Magnitsky Act. Deeper indulgence into understanding what that act is will show that not only does it have retroactive capabilities, mean you don't have to be sitting in power in order for it to be applied effectively against you as a leader, a corrupt politician, or even a member of the private sector. That is as far as it goes. This Magnitsky Act, once the leader of the country in Jamaica is held, I should say, to the fire, and he does not pass the smell test, I dare tell you this, that the leader of the opposition is going in the same handcuff. Why do I say this? They are the ones that have fashioned the laws together and created the loopholes. Isn't it ironic that after each successive government comes out of power, the next one says, oh, I know all the corruption that you have. And as soon as they get elected, you hear nothing about the corruption, the list of corruptions that the other party was doing. They lose power and the other one comes in and the same thing comes again. They only declare the corruption and the negativities of the other party prior to election. Post-election, it is feeding time. All snouts are in the trough. Everybody's busy yamming away at the economy to enrich their own pockets. So for those detractors who say that we are taking side, we have an answer for them, man. Magnitsky Act. Whether you're orange or you're green, if you're thief, you're gone. And your visa will be taken away from you too. I know many of them like to fly and have weekends in Miami and go for lunch in New York. That's the kind of life they live. But I tell you, this is a warrant. The warrant is Magnitsky Act, and it is being served. And anyone within the administration or the opposition or the private sector that is guilty of aborting or attempting to abort the total liberation of a people coming out of slavery, they will have hell to pay in jail. The Guatemalan president, if they think we're talking foolishness or we're blowing hot air, yesterday, January 17, 2024, the United States government made the release, that press release, referring to the fact that the former president of Guatemala is suffering the very same conditions that the Jamaica Labour Party leaders and the PNP leaders are going to face if they do not buckle up, ship out. It's not a choice. Stay and face the heat of the US federal government, of the Canadian government, and of the UK government, who has no friends with anybody. It's all about interests. So we have dispelled totally this bipartisan stupidity about we are supporting JLP or we are supporting PNP. Isn't it ironic that we get blamed for both parties? We must be doing a good job. The next one, which I will say quickly, because I've taken up a bit of the time, right? Is that this is the time for a call to unity. Our dear PNP and JLP brothers, yes, we know you get some money. Yes, we know that you get a little house bill and you're grateful for it and you can't make your era leader, sister. You don't show up at the party because you look like you're this the leader. I know how those things go. I know your grandmother and your great-grandmother was in the same party. I know some of you lose your brother and your sister in gang war, politics. I know, but we have to bury the hatchet. We have to have a unity because that is what they were afraid of. So we are calling on all Jamaicans, PNP and JLP alike. Don't believe that the leaders are on your side. It's time to stand up. Make one voice, and you will all see that the emperor wears no clothes. They are not as powerful as they are behaving. We are the ones that entitle them to the power and authority that they have. Let us raise our voice and reap the rewards.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Howard Colburn Lyon, for your presentation, sir. Dana, maybe we could let's bring back Dr. Rupert. And Dr. Rupert, I have a question for you, sir.
Just a second, Louis. We did have Mr. Herb that joined us just a few minutes ago.
Awesome. Yes.
So we'll finish up with Dr. Rupert and then we'll go to Mr. Herb.
Okay, awesome. Dr. Rupert.
I do apologize. Sorry to cut.
Go ahead.
But please remember you have Mr. Carlos in the midst also.
Oh, he's here?
Jamaican Carlos. He's right in front of us there.
Oh, that's Brother Carlos.
Yes.
All right, Brother Carlos, since you didn't get an introduction, welcome. And let's hear from you. You're a blogger, Jamaican Carlos TV. Welcome, sir. And give us your thought on this entire project that is going down right now.
All right, guys, I have to change my name. I All right, guys. Good evening, guys. Good evening, gentle people.
Yes, yes.
Glad to be on you guys' platform. Good evening, listeners. I see you guys in the comment section in the chat behaving yourselves. All right. This call to action moment is a long time coming. Bloggers been on social media talking for a long time. Jamaicans, home and abroad, been talking for a long time. A lot of the time people say, what are you talking about, Carlos? What are you talking about? A lot of time people say that. So now the talking turned to action. So we're doing it for our grandkids. This is a non-partisan movement. This is for our kids. And what really pushed me toward this is the blatant corruption in our eyes. We're talking about the embarrassment. They're saying that we are embarrassing the country. Well, let me tell you about embarrassment. I was so embarrassed when I hear about Usain Bolt's money. I was very embarrassed, very embarrassed. I was also embarrassed when we hear about the Prime Minister at the minute, what he did at the Ministry of Education for the Integrity Commission report. I was very embarrassed. I didn't go all over the news. Then we see a case of education in Jamaica where everybody tried to take the education system ministry for a feeding tree. The allegation against Roy Reid. What happened to him? Everybody seems as if they want to hurt the youth then. Then there's another allegation against Miss McLean. That's another $124 million. Where is she at? Nobody knows. That's Ministry of Education. And add to the Prime Minister's corruption when he was there. There's another $100 million gone from Clarendon Alumina Production Limited. You hear the opposition screaming on his voice about that, which is 15.4 billion Jamaican dollars. There's another $10 billion gone from Cornwall Regional Hospital. It seems as if it's misappropriation, corruption, and mismanagement. National Work Agency, another $10 billion disappeared. Misappropriation, mismanagement, or corruption. You know, I want to see how the education system, I just lost my father because of the poor education healthcare system in Jamaica. We look at all the money, talk about illicit six. Illicit six is like people are encouraged to vote for some people who are allegedly criminals. You understand me? And this thing ain't right. And I could go on and on, but the thing that really hurt me is when I read about the Promise Learning Center. All this money we hear me talk about. The $100 million, the 50 billion from Cornwall Regional Hospital and NAA, another 10 billion. That's $35.4 billion. And that's just three little areas that I told you about. $35.4 billion, and yet they closed Promise Learning Center. This is a school for kids with special needs. Government claimed they don't have any money to continue to keep the school opening. The government defunded this school. Staff couldn't pay, they couldn't pay maintenance and utilities, and they couldn't pay the staff. From last December, teachers and workers did not get any pay. So you tell me, say, this is not a real good cause to come out with every energy, everything me having on me, and come protest for change, protest for betterment. I'm doing it for my grandkids, not me. If I'm doing it for me, I'm thinking about rice and flour. You know, I'm thinking about that one of them t-shirt with some money wrap up in it. That's what we think about when I think about us. Let's think about kids. I want everybody to come out. So that's what drives me. All of this hurting of the people. And on top of that, the people can't say nothing, you know. The people can't say nothing. That's what we look at and say, look here. Jamaica people are scared. Them calm is scared. Because Jamaica see how fearful they are for their lives. So we decided to say, you know what? Let's stand for them. This call to action is a stand for the people who can't. It's a voice for the voiceless. And hoping that in doing so, we can give them strength. We giving them strength, it's strengthening us too. We helping Jamaicans, it's helping us too, so we can go home sooner, not later. Thank you so much. Over to you, Rosie. Mr. Rose.
Thank you so much, my brother, for your passionate presentation. Welcome, and thank you so much for your presentation. Let's go. Did we have anyone else new, Donna? Come on, or we can go now.
Yes, Mr. Herb.
Mr. Herb, come on in, sir.
Good evening to Donna, to your co-host Donna. I didn't get his name. I'm sorry.
Louis Witter.
Louis Witter.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Louis. And of course, to your wanted listeners and your esteemed panel. I could not have made a better presentation than even if I trained myself to than my counterparts have tonight. And they're speaking from the heart. I think the people of Florida and the people of Jamaica will appreciate what they have had to say. Of course, myself and Donna, we go way back with the Institute of Caribbean Studies and the fact that we have been participants in anti-human trafficking and violence against women and of course other genders as well. I have been trying for 7 years since myself and Dr. Francis got together and wrote the articles for the Jamaica Diaspora Crime Intervention and Prevention Task Force. And we briefed this in Jamaica in 2016. I don't know if Dr. Francis covered this. But the bottom line is, they have known for a very long time what the laws that governs overseas corruption and overseas transgressions against the United States and the misappropriation of funds. Now, when we looked at the programs in Jamaica that we promoted, and we tried to get the community development programs underway, because we briefed that for the very first ZOSO, I gave that briefing. And we said, what needs to happen? You go in, you clear the area of the gunmen. You hold the area to ensure they don't come back. But then you build. The build portion is what I brief. It's called Safer Cities by utilizing smarter communities. You get all the smart people in that community together. Whether it's the church, whether it's the educators, the business people, you put together a committee and you discover what it is that the community lacks. And you're going to build that up. I sent Deputy Mayor Richard Vernon an invitation to apply for grant funds from the American Friends of Jamaica and from FIFA, the World Football Body, so that FIFA will build stadiums in your community, and they'll build classrooms within those stadiums, and they'll build changing rooms, everything. And the reason for that is you need a community where everybody can come together in competition, not firing gunshots at each other. And we briefed this for ZOSO. We've been talking about this for 7 years. And what we discovered with every program that we tried to institute was that the money was going into Jamaica. There was no transparency and there was no accountability, which you need for good governance. And when you have no transparency and no accountability, then you have to investigate, where did the money go? We did investigations and we were finding out people were enriching themselves. People were doing things on the side. They'll sell government property. They'll make a profit off of it. And the money does not go back into the community. So it's every man and woman down there for themselves. And everybody, I thought with 20 women in government, they would speak up on behalf of the children of Jamaica. Children who have been down in record numbers. The monument they have to kids downtown Kingston was filled up 5 years ago. Here's a monument supposed to last a lifetime and it's full. So the bottom line is we have a problem. The problem was the money is not trickling down like it's supposed to. So we had to ask the government under ATI, Access to Information, tell us where's the money going? Case in point, the Women's World Cup team. These girls have exceptional achievement. And then the girls had to go and do GoFundMe. And here comes Babsy Grange saying, oh, I gave $4 million to the JFF. Now, JFF is supposed to distribute 2.7 million US dollars amongst 14 parishes. That money has never been distributed. So you find that so does the government go, so does our major organizations that are responsible for community development and communities coming together. They do the same thing, the same kind of corruption. This has been going on for 7 years. So the question you have to ask, do you keep doing the same things over and over and expect a different result? That's the definition of madness, right? I think Obama said it and other presidents have said it. And so we said, it's time to stop. It's time to stop doing the same things over and over and take direct action, right? So when you talk about the direct action, the things that you can do that will impact government and get their attention. Lobbying is one. We don't have money to lobby the government. We're not going to be paying them to do their jobs. So you go to grassroots campaigns, mobilizing the members, supporters out there, right? To pressure their representative through various means, letters, phone calls, emails, petition, the social media. That's grassroots campaigning. Demonstrations, which you'll see tomorrow. Organizing public rallies, you could do marches, you could do sit-ins, right? And this draws attention and awareness of the problem that is out there, right? The last piece is litigation. And we have formed the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, and we already are in litigation against the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Camilla Johnson-Smith, and we're getting ready to file some other cases. And the bottom line with these cases, it involves misutilization and non-reporting of funds. The former head of the Northeast Diaspora Council came to us and says, hey, I collected over 450,000 US dollars during COVID, and we gave it to the Jamaican government. And I've been asking them now for 2 years to account for the funds, tell us how it was spent, how it was divided. And they refuse to do that. So we can't keep having the US government, the EU, the OS, and the diaspora community giving away our funds to people who don't have transparency and refuse to be accountable when you ask them questions. They believe they're above all of that. We're beneath them. And that tactic, when they form the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, and the top 4 people in the council, they selected one from the UK, I believe, to oversee the council, and 3 people from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is led by the Minister of State, Terry Long. So when you're doing things that is contrary to the law of the country, FARA says, Foreign Agent Registration Act, you cannot have any secret foreign government operations ongoing in the United States. And this is what we have, because they're saying, oh, what we do is secret. We don't have to tell you anything. And the FARA calls for them to have a place where records are held, and those records can be inspected. So that means from the elections that were run, and if there's a complaint against elections, then the authorities can go and check the ballots, check emails, check all those things. And then is there any other things that will happen if people complain that we gave money to Babsy Grange during the COVID era period and we can't get an accounting of our money? And you say, how much you give? $50,000. So now somebody's got to have those records available, whether it's the Northeast, Southwest, Southeast, wherever, Midwest, and you got to be able to show that this money was indeed collected and it's fully accountable. But if you can't do any of these things, we don't even know if the money came from illicit sources. That's the other thing that they're going to be looking at mainly, because if it comes from some drug dealers here in the US, how do we know? Who checked out the funds that were collected? Who validated those funds? And I realized COVID was ongoing and they needed money. But you have to follow the law. You have to be accountable. And above all, you must be transparent. Excuse me if I went too long. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Herb, for, everybody's summary has been just wonderful, giving us so much more, awareness of this issue on so many different levels, Louis. I think Jeffrey had a question.
Not really a question. It's just that there's something that I had on my program last night, that a 105-year-old man who has worked all his life, could be my grandfather, has his life saving in a commercial bank in Jamaica, $6 million. He doesn't use debit card. He used the old red bank books with deposit slips and withdrawal slips. And the entire $6 million come out of the bank account. Gone like Sammy Mouth. You hear nothing from anybody down there in authority. The bank gave back the man some of his money and asked him to sign a paper that he will not sue them.
Wow.
He will not sue them. That's the country that we love. And that's what's going on in the country. And when we speak about those things, you hear people talking that we're mashing up the brand. How on earth can you have a 105-year-old person who has worked all his life as an accountant, save his money, put it into a commercial bank, and his money just went like Sammy Mouth, and nothing, you hear nothing about it? Not one single thing you hear about it? The man money just gone? And when we speak about these things, you hear that the gang of 8, they call us no, the gang of 8. The Labour Party had the gang of 5 in the Siaga days. Now it's the gang of 8 in the diaspora. It's bringing down the country. Now somebody must tell me, because I think I don't have any of the people of the Vum who has all of those names of OD and all this behind their name, who have more education than I do. Tell me if something is wrong. Because if we are trying to speak the truth and telling the people what is going on, and the news coming out of Jamaica is saying to us that a man who has worked all his life, his life savings just gone. The man said on television in Jamaica, some of the money out of the book must bury him when he's dead. He said he can't sleep at nights. He's been begging his church members to pray for him. You know how many Jamaicans go to their bed hungry? You know how many Jamaicans cry at nights? What is going on? Don't get me wrong, you know. You have some of those mothers out there who's covering up what their sons and their daughters is doing and blaming government. The time has come for you all to stop it and wake up and smell the coffee brewing from Blue Mountain Peak. Smell the coffee. We cannot, as a people, continue the way we're continuing. We cannot do it. And I yield to the lovely lady.
Thank you very much. Carlos?
I want to piggyback on that. Since I touched the banks, Jeffrey, I've been doing some stories on the banks. I did a story about the 105-year-old man also. That man is a centurion, right? That man should have a red carpet roll out for him. His bank account should be in a special little spot, but I'm thinking they probably think at 105-year-old and probably dead and then we out. Senile, but then I know so the man so sharp. You know, I saw the man is still sharp, like a pencil. His story. There's another lady from California who I spoke with. She came from California to the Christian bank, she said, NCB, and she found out that money missing from her 3 accounts, right? Hundreds of thousands of dollars were missing from her account. So she went to the bank. She said the same name that is signed off on all the transaction. That girl, she know her person. The girl know her like she live in the community. So the girl know that she live overseas. And it's like she and the girl get into it because the girl was looking at her in the bank. However, long story short, she reached home. She said the girl was slick in the bank. When the girl reached home, this man showed up at the woman's house. The lady from California was not at the house. She left shortly ago, but she reached out with her niece and her aunt. This stranger showed up at her house. It seems as if the bank teller gave the man her number, saying that this man was her father, is an ex-police officer, and is here to see the woman who called his daughter slick. So how many other homes these tellers are giving out numbers and send their men to? I did a video shortly before that. This lady was going to England the next day, tomorrow. She went to the bank today and pulled hundreds of thousands, a lot of money. By the time she reached her home and get out of her car, some bike man just come down upon her. And I did a video and said, hold on. Why don't they take their phone and they take right from security guard right to the teller? Police need to start there first. And the lady told me now, say, a man showed up at her house to defend the bank teller in the bank. So if this one give the number to the man, I don't know. But this son and CD. And the case of the old man who have no social media online footprint. He have no online footprint, so they can't say, this old man click on a link that he shouldn't have. There's no link, because he go straight in the bank. He must stop at an ATM, so there's no middleman. He go talk to the bank. So any broke foot are going at the bank. So how do you explain? Everybody have a limit to take out, a maximum for the day. Everybody have a limit to take out. Your bank will shut it off. You can't take out more than a certain amount. How is it thieves were allowed to take out the man money one time so I know bell not go off? Sister, over to you.
Wow, that's a whole nother new angle. I don't think we were paying attention.
But the reason why I mentioned this, people, excuse me real quick. The reason why I mentioned this, I could have mentioned the tourists that got robbed and raped. I don't mention that because that is not the government that caused that. It is a random man. You know that Jamaica love the tourists. So if you're a man,
oh, he's on there?
Yeah, so I cannot blame that on the government. But stuff that the government can change, like Nigel Clark can come do something. We have out of an agency to investigate and arrest. Nothing, we're on our own. So blame this on the government because stuff need to be done and them sit down on their hand. I ain't gonna blame what the guy do on the government. Because it's just a random act and they need to go find him before the people them grab him. Over to you, man.
I believe that the people of Jamaica have to decide to take culpability for what is happening in the country. I know that if you say anything about certain people, as alluded before by everyone, then you are considered a pariah. And you cannot say anything. People will literally hurt you or try to hurt you if you bring up these things that obviously they must have collusion with other persons in these places. The same thing happened with SSL. Money has disappeared and nobody knows where it has gone. People who are not working, they have huge bank accounts. And you're not jealous of these people. The fact of the matter is they're showing off and think that nobody understands what people are going through. But they must, you know, and I can understand if somebody gets angry enough to do something, when is it going to stop? You know, I could understand they would blame it now on the person, whereas they don't understand that people within the banking system. There was one girl who they were looking for, if you remember when they had arrested the lady at SSL. She was seen on a camera leaving Jamaica with a suitcase of money to Canada, and she has not come back as yet. So you have much collusion. You must have collusion. What is going on? There cannot be that it is only, you know, a few persons in the bank. There must be collusion outside. There must be collusion in what they are experiencing. And so there's one other thing that I want to tell you. We talked about this lady who was shot and killed in her car. She was a lawyer. She's not a lawyer. She's like a notary public or something like that. But the fact of the matter is that these people are being gunned down by pillion riders. Now, how many people does anybody know how many pillion riders have killed persons in the past year? They just ride up, and the pillion rider riding in the back is the shooter. They did it at Jamaica House Gate the other day. Luckily, they didn't kill the young men, but they do it all the time. You have legal entities out there, and they see these people on these pillion riders. To me, if you're going to stop a car, you might as well stop a pillion rider. We need to stop it until we know what is going on, since this is the main medium of murder for hire. Main medium for murder for hire. Look at it, analyze it. It's there to be seen. So the fact of the matter is that criminality is abound. People are afraid to talk, but at the same time, it is not them. You live in certain situations where you have the Minister of National Security on top. He runs one of the most, what should I say, prolific area of criminality in the entire island. Not only
You
that,
call it a very nice name.
What's that?
You call it a very nice name.
Yes, I call it prolific because the fact of the matter is that there's no way on earth you can be the head honcho in that area and don't know what you're the Minister of National Security. So what we need to do is to get serious. We need to decide what you, and then you have people who are saying, you know, we should not, in view of everything that has happened, we should abolish the death penalty. No. I don't have a problem with anybody abolishing anything. But my problem is, when are you going to talk to the people, get involved with the people? As Herb Nelson said, we've been at it for 7 or 8 years. We gave information, we have given it out, and they rejected it and refused it. We had a guy. His name is Captain Peter Whittingham. It's a worthy of note. He was responsible for reducing gang violence in Los Angeles by 50% over a 3-year period. And he offered, we have his paperwork right now, offered to help them to do this. Herb is well aware, and many, many others. And yet, we have not taken them up on this offer. In fact, the money that was appropriated by the USAID was sent back. This seems to be an operation. We don't pay the police because we're sending them back. This is a travesty, ladies and gentlemen. We really need to make people understand that enough is enough. Every speaker here this evening has enunciated that. Tomorrow, we are getting out there.
Yeah.
And I'd like our fellow Jamaicans really and truly to look within themselves and say to themselves, are we really truly being honest about what is happening? Understanding, is it your son? Was it your son or daughter? Would you be concerned? What about those 8-year-old children, those youngsters whose throats have been cut? How did they deserve it? Where's their future? And I say to you, those of you who are naysayers out there and have now called me and many names that I've never even heard of before, I say to you, when you're pointing a finger, remember 3 are looking back at you and 1 up to God. And we have forgotten how we came here. We have more churches than anybody else in the universe. And yet we don't pretend to understand their pain, the pain of those persons who are just trying to make a living. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for this opportunity. I wrote a letter, and I didn't know that a letter could have made such a big circulation. I thought a pen was mightier than a sword. I've said it before. But we must not go back. We must work together. We must join hands and hearts. And we must convince our neighbors, the naysayers, to stop what they're doing. Stop doing it because people are telling you to do it. You know, they said that, you know, the 30 people in the Global Diaspora Council came out and said they were disagreed with what I had to say. And I know for a fact that 30 people did not come out to say that. They couldn't have done that in such rapid time. So I just want to close that off and say to you, stop it. We have one country, we have one aim, and we have one destiny. And those of you must understand, one day, you pray to God every day. Hopefully, you will be led through the pearly gates when the time comes. And not the other wooden gate where you're going with fire and brimstone. I don't pray to nobody. I just ask to take it seriously. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Thank you.
Go ahead. I think we've got someone on, and then we'll tell us about the time and etc. for the march to protest tomorrow.
Let me just add something to what my esteemed colleague, my brother, my former classmate, Howard Lyon Goldburn said. He mentioned the Magnitsky Act. And I don't think people realize the severity and the consequence of violating that act. In fact, today I received many communications from people in the know who said that they did not know about this act before they heard it from this group of people. Now, essentially, the act says that if you're a government official, a person of influence in any foreign country, and you're accused of committing kleptocracy, which is stealing from public coffers, corruption, or human rights abuse, then you're subject to this act. What it means is that the US Department of State can revoke your visa, and we know how precious those are to politicians, because my dear friend Mr. Goldburn mentioned that they love to, I think it was Mr. Goldburn or one of the other panelists mentioned that Mr. Goldburn, they love to come and do lunch in New York, and they love to come and dine in Miami. The visas will be revoked, but not only that, assets will be seized. And that's just one act. We have a small group of people composed primarily of attorneys looking at various acts, not only in this country, but in the UK and Canada, where we're seeking to hold their feet to the fire. They meaning the corrupt Jamaican politicians. And we believe that a solid case can be made already about the Prime Minister's violation of this act. How? It's called state of emergency. A state of emergency in Jamaica can only be declared when it's proclaimed by the Governor General in 3 instances: war, insurrection, natural disaster. It was never intended to be used for police purposes beyond those 3. So when there is a call for a state of emergency and it's proclaimed by the Governor General, That is a constitutional violation. But we knew it beforehand. But in 2020, the Supreme Court of Jamaica made a ruling that states of emergency as declared and implemented by the government of Jamaica are unconstitutional. The government appealed and lost the appeal. So as of today, states of emergency in Jamaica are unconstitutional. Now, despite that holding by the court, there have been 3 states of emergency declared since the court held that states of emergency are unconstitutional. Now, here are the people, here are the perpetrators involved in that. The lady who's running the JDF, the police commissioner, the Minister of National Security, the Prime Minister, and who else? None other than the King's representative, the Governor General, because a state of emergency cannot take effect in Jamaica unless it's proclaimed by the Governor General. That's one of his constitutional rights.
Yes.
So that case has been made already. Because why? We know that there have been more than 1,000 people detained illegally for an inordinate period of time. That is human rights abuse. That case has been made. So we will be seeking the revocation of all of those visas belonging to all of those people. And whatever assets they have overseas, we will be petitioning the United States Congress and the State Department to seize their assets. And we think we have a very good chance of achieving that goal because this year is an election year. And so they will listen to us because we're taxpayers and we vote. And we are going to tell them, here is the case. And we know that the Magnitsky Act is not some archaic act that 1800s and it's selectively enforced. We know that's not the case. This is something that's relatively recent. And in fact, just 2 days ago, it was used against the former president of, was it Ecuador, Peru, or one of those South American, Guatemala, Central America, yeah, was used. And it was used against a former president. So like Lion says, it looks backwards, as well as the present and going forward. So if I were a politician in Jamaica involved in human rights abuse, in kleptocracy, or in corruption, I would, at this point, be seeking to refill my stock of Pepto-Bismol because it's going to be a rough ride. And what you're looking at here is a completely different diaspora than the ones we're used to seeing over the past decades. This is a very dynamic, it's a very informed, very intelligent, very decisive group of people. And we will not yield because we realize that this is greater than all of us. There's a purpose behind what we're doing. And as you've heard many times, we're not doing this for us. Yes, indeed, we would like to go back and have our bones laid to rest in Jamaica, but we're looking at the future primarily. And in light of 2030, Vision 2030, to make Jamaica a place where you can raise a family, you can invest, you can work, you can retire. We are the true diasporians, the ones you're looking here, because we are not tainted by politics and politicians. I've never voted a day in my life in Jamaica. I left before I could vote. I have no political affiliation. Thank God for Dr. Rupert Francis, because if somebody else here had filed that, had submitted that letter, you would have heard, oh, politics. But Dr. Francis will have you know it is no secret, or if it's a secret, it's a public secret, that he's a card-carrying member of the Jamaica Labour Party. So that undercuts their argument about politics completely. So I say to you and your audience, my dear lady and young man, I say young man because you look young, you look young on me anyway. But tomorrow I'm asking to have your folks turn out in their tens, hundreds, and thousands, because we need the show of force. And when I say force, not physical force, talking about an audible force where we're speaking at the top of our voices to say enough is enough. We're sick and tired of this because far too often they've gotten away with it. And I tell you what, one more thing before I go. This letter that Dr. Francis sent has caused more to disrupt the political class than anything done by the diaspora. Anything done by the diaspora. I cannot think of anything that the diaspora has said or done that caused this much furor. One letter.
Yes.
And they've been telling us, oh, come and speak to us and come. Well, the time for speaking is over. And we'll see you tomorrow in Miami from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. We will let our voices be heard. Enough is enough. Thank you.
May I say something here, please, before you go?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I just want to comment on something that I saw in the chat. Let me make something categorically clear this afternoon. That Wilfred Rattigan is not using Dr. Rupert Francis. Dr. Rupert Francis is a former captain of the Jamaica Defense Force, a Jamaican who is well loved, a Jamaican who has integrity, a Jamaican who will stand up for his fellow Jamaican. He has a mind of his own, and he speaks on his own merit. Dr. Francis is not being used by Wilfred Rattigan or anybody. The time that we come on platforms and criticize people, yes, you can criticize all you want, but put away the green and the orange. And if you truly love our country, then stand with a group of people. And for those out there who are saying that Jeffrey Tavares is in go, I really don't care. What I'm saying to you all, I would love to see a Jamaica for my children, for my godchildren that I dearly love. I have 2 beautiful goddaughters, 3 godsons. And I would love to see them grow up in a Jamaica that is peaceful. And a Jamaica where every day here that a blackbird is being gunned down. I'm not calling my fellow Jamaicans blackbird. But it's as if it's an open bird season in our country. Where the gunmen believe that the powers that they have lies behind the trigger of a gun. And for those who in the know-how or in the effluence of society, you know who you are. A little boy who lives below a crossroad cannot buy a gun. The little boy who lives in St. Elizabeth cannot buy a gun. But yet, you have so many Jamaicans down there have AK rifles and all sorts of rifles. The time has come for you all to stop the PNP and JLP and UIC and up and C and all kind of C and stand up for the rock that you believe in. Thank you all very much for having me.
Let me just add one thing, hostess.
Yes,
Let me just
and
add one
Mr.
thing.
Mack, can you tell us who you are too? We didn't really get that piece. Thank you.
That's Wilfred Rattigan.
Yeah,
Well, you look so different in the
Go for it.
Let me just add one thing. I think it's a grave disservice to what we're trying to achieve for our brothers and sisters, our mothers and fathers, our relatives in Jamaica, when people say that that people are influencing other people to do things. Here is what I say. It's a distraction. None of them, including government officials, have touched the issues raised by Dr. Francis. One of the things I learned in law school was this. If you have the law, ideally you want the law on your side, so you argue to win your case. If you don't have the law, you argue the facts. And if you don't have the law and you don't have the facts, you attack the personality of your opponent. And that's exactly what they're doing. No one has come forward and said, you know what, Mr. Francis, the issue raised about corruption is unwarranted. Not true. One about crime? Not true. One about poverty? Not true. One about promised things and failure to deliver on service delivery? Not true. Standing? Not true. Nobody. They've steered clear of the issue, and now they're going at the man's personality and trying to say, oh, he's been influenced by others. Instead of sitting down as Jamaicans and say, look, let's talk about the issues. No, we attack the personality of the person. Well, guess what? And I've told people, you can write all you want about me. My life is an open book. Write all you want about me. And then what you do is call the police and tell them that I've committed a crime and have them come and arrest me. Because guess what? That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do to the politicians. I'm trying to lock them up. So you try lock me up while I try lock them up. And let's see who can lock up who first. Because I am supremely confident that the path we have chosen is the right path. And so I will not be dissuaded. I will not be distracted from the goal ahead. I have no side view mirrors. I have no rear view mirror. I only have a windshield, and that is going straight ahead. No distraction.
All right, my brother.
And one more thing, please.
Let me go, Jeffrey, before you go.
Please.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Before we go, let everybody know that the good God above that created us is protecting us. Be ye careful of what you all plan to do, because God don't like ugly. Be ye careful.
Very well said. And before you ask that question, sir, I'm gonna come in since you mentioned God, because Brother Rodican and his opening remarks, he said, this is a divine coming together. That was his first opening remarks that he said. And you're now saying that God don't like ugly. And one of the things I wanted to ask Dr. Francis, since you're the one that wrote the letter and seems to be at the center of this movement, where does God come into play in this whole movement? Where are the ministers or the pastors? Where are the prayers that needs to be accompanied what is going on? Because you can't do this without the Spirit of God involved with what you're doing. And I know we are all men of God, but I didn't hear much about the Spirit of God, because we're not wrestled against flesh and blood. We have to remember that. This is all principalities. Jamaica has been called the wickedest place on earth back in the 60s, late 70s or early 70s. And that spirit is still over Jamaica. We have never come together as a people and pray away that spirit. Everything that we are talking about, or the hard force or the government, there's spirit that controls every single thing. And we have never come as a nation, we have never come together and pray away that spirit of wickedness, of deceitfulness, that spirit of corruption that's still there from back those days. Where does the Spirit of God come into this movement, especially tomorrow when you guys are gathering? Speak to us on that.
Thank you for that, Mr. Witter. And I hope it's Witter, Joe Witter. You have something to do with Joe Witter.
W-I-T-T-E-R. All of them that have W-I-T-T-E-R.
Yes, well, he was a corporal in Ocherous, and I learned a lot from him when I was growing up. Uncle Joe, we called him. And then there was a sergeant in California. But anyway, I do believe that Jamaica needs a balm in Gilead. I believe that we really need a serious introspection. We have 7,000 churches. I mentioned it earlier.
Sure did.
And I'm wondering, where are the pastors? What are they doing? What are they saying? Mm-hmm. Are they too afraid of what is happening around them? Do they not have any voice about what is happening? And I do believe that they have reason to be focused and so on. But if they got together and spoke to their flock in those 7,000 locations, it would make a tremendous difference. But I think that the rhetoric is a very damaging thing. It can create and it can destroy. And just as how they crucified Christ. And I'm not saying that any of us are Christ-like or would be aping Christ.
We all are.
I don't believe. I beg pardon?
We all are.
Okay, fine. We all are. Well, you know, but I'm saying that some people have not looked into that part of it. They do not look beyond themselves. They do not look and see other human beings. They don't see the loss of life. They think of it in dollars and cents. They think of it in, you know, not worshiping. I don't know. They worship money instead of what they should. I believe that if every pastor, both in the United States, and they concentrated on the young children, we gave them that idea because the multifaceted approach to crime, and faith-based institutions have their mandate to do what they're supposed to do because they would be listened to. Somewhere along the line, we missed it. We missed it, and we have taken God. Tonight, I have my Bible study, and unfortunately, I had to not go there. And I'm sure the guys are laughing at me now, saying, you see, we found in New York had something else in mind. But the fact of the matter is this has taken priority because the nation is at stake. If you look in another 10 or so, 20 years, forget about 2030. What are you going to say when you look at the Jamaica that is totally different? We have to start reinvesting our faith, reinvesting our confidence, reinvesting in the Father above. We need it. We have to love our neighbors. We do not. We are killing our neighbors. Okay, so there are many instances, and I'm just saying to you, and we're unkind to our neighbors. Right? We're unkind. We're not as kind. We're going for a totally different thing. So I'm not going to belay the point. We need back faith. Faith has gone. It seems that demonic forces have taken over Jamaica. People wearing guard ring, cutting off people's heads, playing football. They do all sorts of things, and they blame it on other people when they're doing it, not other people. Right? When your young boy at 17 comes in and he has a couple $1 million in his pocket and a brand new BMW, do you ask him where it came from? How did he get a hold of it? No, you help him spend it. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know which God you serve, as I said earlier on, but there will be a reckoning. And I'm not saying, I'm no prophet, but all I'm saying is be careful who you demonize, because when you're pointing a finger, three are looking back at you and one is up to God. That's all I have to say on the matter. I hope and pray that we will be able to resolve this issue between the diaspora. Let me make one point clear. The government wants to run Jamaica and run the diaspora. And they're doing it. And they have some people who just need that little OD or what have you to go around and feel important. But they're doing it. They're running, and that's why they want to have Brand Jamaica and cover it. The Prime Minister said it himself just the other day. Because Brand Jamaica belongs to all of us. And it's important that we help to preserve that Brand Jamaica. That's really what I have to say. And I'm going to stop at that one. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank the listeners. Thank everybody. Thank Donna. Everybody who has been here. All my colleagues. It's been a wonderful. And I ask you all to come out tomorrow and support, because that's what they're hoping that will not happen. That we will not have a successful day. But I guarantee you, it has already been successful. It's way out there already. They can't turn it back. Thank you very much, sir.
Dr. Rupert, can you tell us again where the protest, what time?
It is going to be at 44 West Flagler Street, Flagler Avenue. It's downtown Miami at the Jamaican Consulate, right in front of the the door of the Jamaican Consulate. Of course, allowing people to go in and out of that building. And they're well aware of what is happening. We have good security on there, and we are also very mindful that a lot of peaceful, listen, we have a team. Let me tell you that they think that it's us alone in the 8. No. It's 8 multiplied by 8, multiplied by 100, multiplied by 1,000. There's so many people who are there will not necessarily be there, but they'll be there in spirit. And that's what is important. So tomorrow, we'll be there from 8 to 1. And we hope you'll come down and share with us, share the joy of saying enough is enough. Let's have back Jamaica for all of us, not just for some of us. Okay? Because I just tell you one quick one I always laugh at. Weed was not very, very popular in the old days. Now it's only the rich people selling weed, and they're importing it from Canada. Can you imagine? What a dilemma.
What a dilemma. Thank you, sir. Donna,
Wow,
it's
amazing. You know,
great.
at least I think this was a very good summary of why the letter call to action was written, why the protest. We got so many you know, proof or just of why. It wasn't just a personal thing that you just wake up one day and just say, oh, you know, I want to disrupt things, fact after fact. You know, so we thank you that again, the team, the 8+ more.
Yes, and there
for
were
the
6
bravery.
this evening. Let me call the names out before we go. We want to thank
Louis,
Wilfred Rattigan.
Louis,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
a key thing I wanted to emphasize
Yes, go ahead,
to
sir.
the people who are the mouthpiece for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and who are creating this image that we're fighting amongst each other. That's the report that goes out to TVJ and CVM, that the diaspora is disjointed, that they're not together, and that they're fighting over this affair. If they were listening to any of our programs for the last 2 or 3 years, they would be getting a lot of facts. We even went over the Constitution of Jamaica, right? We have addressed the corruption in detail, right? And what is driving our people literally crazy? When you read the reports, Jamaica's high prevalence of PTSD among people in the inner city communities is over 41%. Across the island, 25% of the people suffering from PTSD or some mental issue. The Ministry of Health is totally unprepared to address the situation. It's not like here in the US where you have psychologists and you run to them. You have psychiatrists and you run to them. You can count maybe on 1 or maybe 2 hands how many psychiatrists you have in Jamaica. And the psychologists who are employed, they just don't have enough staff to take care of the PTSD and the people who have gone totally crazy. The gunshots, the violence, the constant, issue of violence in communities is what is getting to people. And I'm not just talking about simple violence against women. Kids are hearing these gunshots every night. They have to get flat under the beds or on the floor, or else a bullet may take you out. You can't keep living like that. And this is what we're trying to prevent. This is what we're trying to stop.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for summing up your talk this evening. And we want to thank all of you, gentlemen. And just wanted to refresh everyone. Mr. Wilfred Rattigan, Dr. Rupert A. Francis, Carlos Gray, Gary. We also have Jeffrey Tavares, Herbert Nelson, and Howard Goldburn Lyon. We want to thank you guys for addressing us and the public and everyone, our listeners and our viewers this evening here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network and also the Caribbean Diaspora Vibe. Donna Martin and myself, we appreciate you guys coming, and it's one love for Jamaica, you know. It's one love for Jamaica. We all are Jamaicans. We love the country. And so we just want peace and love with everybody. All right, Donna?
All right. I just want to say thank you for everyone. Mr. Rattigan, you were in the dark earlier, and then you, so my apologies. You switch up.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah, you switch up and say you get dressed up nice. So thank you for your time and your commitment. You are commuting and making your way home safely. you know, for everyone that had, you know, situations tonight, but you still committed to being here to show up. And we really went about 2 hours on this forum with lots of wonderful information. So we give thanks. I suggest also on the spiritual realm that we dedicate a time, and not just one time, but times throughout the day, to just think goodness over Jamaica, just have gratitude. Yeah, and so a lot of that's a big part that I think we've missed also, because we know that wherever and you know focus goes, energy flows. So if our focus is always on the negativity and from you know of going on in Jamaica, then it's just you know more is gonna come, more is gonna, it's just gonna multiply. So maybe that's one way we can also, with our prayers, but not just speak them and then feel hate and fear and worry, but speak them and also in our heart have the gratitude, remember the good times, the good days, and that will be a direction that Jamaica will rise again. We want to just thank you and thank everyone, and thank our listeners for joining us on Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. Blessings.
All right. Good luck tomorrow, and God bless everyone. All them yardy.
Yes.
Everywhere. Big up.
And Mr. Witter?
Yes, sir.
It will be live on the Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. Make we talk. All right. Bless up, everybody. Have a good night. God bless you.
Thank you. All right.